You've spent years trying to prove yourself to people who still don't see your value. You've given your best, yet somehow it never feels like enough. But what if I told you your worth was never meant to be measured by their approval? Most people wait for validation before they believe in themselves. That's the slow way, the painful way. But there's a faster way, a way to build self-worth from the inside out. It starts when you stop chasing people and start chasing purpose. It begins when you silence that voice that says, "You're not ready," and replace it with, "I'm built for this." Every time you keep your word to yourself, you grow. Every time you show up, even when no one's watching, you rise. Every time you forgive yourself for yesterday and move forward anyway, you build real worth. Because self-worth isn't found in the crowd's applause. It's built in silence, in discipline, in integrity, in courage. So if you're tired of feeling small, remember this: you don't have to earn your worth, you awaken it. And once you do, no one can take it from you. Self-worth is not determined by others' approval, because the essence of who you are cannot be defined by external opinions. Many people spend their entire lives chasing validation, trying to impress, fit in, or prove their worth to those who never truly see them. But the truth is, the moment you allow someone else to decide your value, you hand them the power to control your peace. When you measure your worth through likes, compliments, or attention, you begin to live a borrowed life, one that depends on shifting opinions instead of unshakable identity. Real self-worth comes when you understand that you are valuable not because of what people say, but because of what you carry within. Your experiences, your growth, your effort, and your resilience define your worth far beyond anyone's judgment. Approval from others can feel good in the moment, but it's temporary and unpredictable. One day people may praise you, the next they may criticize you for the same thing. If your confidence rises and falls based on how others perceive you, you'll constantly be at the mercy of their moods and misunderstandings. The world's approval is a moving target, but your worth is not supposed to be negotiable. When you stop seeking permission to feel enough, you step into real freedom. You no longer need applause to believe in your ability, and you no longer fear silence when others don't notice your effort. Building unshakable self-worth begins with recognizing that you are already enough, even when no one notices your value. It is the quiet confidence that says, "I am complete as I am, but I'm still growing." When you shift your focus from trying to please people to trying to fulfill your purpose, you begin to attract respect instead of chasing approval. People's opinions can inspire you or challenge you, but they should never define you. Their approval may open doors temporarily, but your inner worth keeps those doors open permanently. There will always be those who misunderstand your journey, underestimate your potential, or criticize your progress, but their perception is not your reality. You are not what people think of you. You're what you repeatedly believe about yourself. Self-worth is built in the moments when you choose authenticity over acceptance, truth over popularity, and peace over performance. Every time you honor your values, even when it's unpopular, you strengthen the foundation of your self-worth. The more you learn to love and respect yourself without needing outside confirmation, the stronger your identity becomes. Approval may come and go, but the confidence rooted in self-respect endures through every season. True worth begins when you stop asking, "Am I good enough for them?" and start declaring, "I am worthy of every good thing life has for me." Because when you stop seeking validation from others, you finally create space to hear the voice within, the voice that has known your worth all along. The fastest way to build self-worth is from within, because real confidence doesn't come from what you gain. It comes from what you grow inside yourself. Too often, people look for external things to validate their value: achievements, relationships, money, or appearance, but all of these fade or change with time. When your self-worth depends on external conditions, it becomes fragile and inconsistent. But when it's rooted within, it becomes solid and unshakable. Building self-worth from within means understanding that who you are is greater than what you have, and your value does not rise or fall with circumstances. It's an internal knowing, a quiet strength that doesn't need to be proven or performed for anyone. The process begins with how you speak to yourself. Every thought you allow and every word you repeat shapes the way you see your worth. If your inner voice is filled with doubt, fear, and comparison, you weaken your foundation. But when you start replacing those thoughts with truth, reminding yourself that you are capable, loved, and chosen, you begin to rise from the inside. This internal dialogue becomes your protection against rejection and your fuel for growth. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself, and that is where real transformation begins. Self-worth grows faster when you stop waiting for someone else to affirm you and start affirming yourself. It's built in the small moments when you keep promises to yourself, when you stay disciplined even when it's difficult, and when you choose progress over perfection. Each time you show up for yourself, you send a signal to your mind that you are dependable, that your words carry power, and that you are enough as you are. This kind of inner trust is the foundation of self-worth because it teaches you to rely on your own strength instead of external approval. The world often tries to convince you that worth is something to earn, but in truth, it's something you remember. It's already inside you, waiting to be activated by belief. When you shift your focus inward and start nurturing your mind, feeding your spirit, and protecting your peace, you begin to glow differently. That glow doesn't come from success or attention. It comes from alignment. It's the result of knowing who you are and refusing to let insecurity or doubt take the driver's seat. The fastest way to build self-worth is not by collecting praise, but by creating purpose. When you align your daily actions with your values and your vision, you begin to feel a deep sense of fulfillment that no one can take away. Confidence built from within doesn't shout, it radiates. It doesn't seek validation, it attracts respect. And every time you remind yourself that your worth is already complete, you accelerate the process of becoming everything you were meant to be. Purpose matters more than people's validation, because validation is temporary, but purpose is eternal. When you live for validation, your direction changes every time someone disapproves of you. You become trapped in the cycle of pleasing others, constantly adjusting who you are just to fit their expectations. But when you live with purpose, your life gains stability and focus. Purpose anchors you when opinions shift, and it gives meaning to everything you do. It reminds you that you were not created to be liked by everyone. You were created to make an impact, to grow, to fulfill something greater than yourself. Validation fades as quickly as it comes, but purpose endures through rejection, failure, and misunderstanding. Many people spend their lives trying to win approval from others, yet still feel empty inside. The applause of the crowd can't fill the void of a directionless life. You could have everyone cheering for you, but if you're not walking in your purpose, that noise will eventually become meaningless. Purpose is what gives value to your journey. It's what keeps you moving when no one is watching, when no one claps, and when no one believes in you yet. Validation depends on who sees you, but purpose depends on who you choose to become. When you start prioritizing purpose, you stop living to be impressive and start living to be impactful. You stop asking, what will people think? And start asking, has this aligned with why I'm here? That shift changes everything. It gives you confidence to say no to distractions and strength to endure criticism. People may not always understand your path because your vision wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Validation is about being accepted, but purpose is about being authentic. You can't fulfill your calling if you're always seeking permission from others to be. You are. Purpose builds resilience. When your actions are rooted in meaning, even the hardest days carry value. You can endure silence, rejection, or failure because you know what you're working toward. The opinions of others lose their power when your heart is set on something higher. You begin to move with quiet confidence, no longer needing recognition to keep going. Purpose gives you direction when life feels uncertain, and motivation when nothing seems to go right. It transforms every setback into preparation and every challenge into growth. The more you chase validation, the more you lose yourself. But the more you chase purpose, the more you find who you truly are. Validation may give you a moment of pride, but purpose gives you a lifetime of fulfillment. It turns ordinary days into meaningful ones and ordinary actions into eternal seeds. You don't need everyone's approval. when you're walking in purpose, because purpose itself becomes your proof that you're on the right path. Keeping promises to yourself strengthens confidence, because self-trust is the foundation of true inner strength. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you send a powerful message to your mind that you can be relied upon. Confidence is not built through words alone. It's built through consistent actions that align with your intentions. When you tell yourself you will do something and follow through, you reinforce your belief in your own ability to make things happen. But when you repeatedly break those promises, even in small ways, you quietly weaken that belief, and self-doubt begins to grow. Keeping promises to yourself is how you rebuild that trust and restore your inner authority. It's easy to show up for others because you fear disappointing them. But real growth happens when you start showing up for yourself with the same commitment. When you honor your own word, whether it's waking up early, staying disciplined, or following through on your goals, you prove that your word holds value. That's how inner respect is born. Confidence isn't about feeling ready all the time. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you will keep your word and push through. Every small act of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of self-belief. Over time, these bricks form a wall that protects you from insecurity and hesitation. The promises you make to yourself are sacred because they define how much you value your own growth. When you set an intention and follow through, you shift from hoping to becoming. You stop waiting for motivation and start operating from integrity. This is where true confidence emerges, not from external success, but from quiet consistency. Even if the results aren't immediate, keeping your word reminds your spirit that progress is happening beneath the surface. It builds emotional strength, mental resilience, and spiritual discipline. The more you keep your promises, the louder your inner voice of belief becomes, drowning out fear and doubt. Confidence is not gifted. It's earned through repetition and reliability. You can't trust someone who constantly breaks their promises, and the same is true for yourself. When you fail to keep your word, you start believing less in your ability to follow through, and hesitation begins to replace faith. But when you stay true to your commitments, even in small things, you begin to walk differently, speak differently, and think differently. You no longer depend on external validation because your actions become your proof. You develop quiet assurance that no matter what life throws at you, you can depend on yourself to rise. Every promise kept is a vote of confidence in your future self. It's how you build momentum, discipline, and dignity. When your words and actions align, you develop an unshakable sense of self that can't be taken away by failure or criticism. Confidence becomes the natural result of trust, and trust begins when you decide to honor your word. True worth grows in silence through discipline and integrity, because real strength is not built in moments of attention, but in seasons of consistency. The world celebrates loud success, but true greatness is often born in quiet places, where no one sees the effort, the struggle, or the sacrifices made behind the scenes. Discipline is the invisible work that transforms potential into power. It is the daily decision to stay committed even when the excitement fades and no one is clapping. Integrity is the moral compass that keeps that discipline pure, ensuring your actions align with your values, even when no one is watching. Together, they create a foundation of inner worth that cannot be shaken by criticism or praise. In silence, you learn who you truly are. Without an audience, your motives are tested and your intentions become clear. Discipline teaches you to keep going when results are not visible yet, and integrity teaches you to do the right thing, even when shortcuts seem easier. These two forces strengthen your character in ways that applause never could. True worth is not about what people see on the outside. It's about the quiet victories within. The moments you choose honesty over convenience, effort over excuses, and growth over comfort. Each of those choices adds invisible weight to your inner foundation, making you unbreakable from within. The most powerful people are not those who boast about their achievements, but those who have mastered the art of self-control. Discipline gives you direction, while integrity gives you peace. Without discipline, even the most talented person will drift, and without integrity, even the most successful person will eventually fall. True worth is measured not by how high you climb, but by how faithfully you build. It's the unseen hours of work, the unspoken acts of kindness, and the unwavering commitment to your principles that define your real value. When you live with integrity, you can move through life with quiet confidence, knowing your success is built on honesty, not illusion. The silence where worth grows is not emptiness, it's preparation. It's in that quiet space where you train your mind to stay focused, your heart to stay humble, and your actions to stay aligned. You may not see instant recognition, but the growth happening within you is preparing you for moments when the world will test your authenticity. People who rely on noise for validation fade when the spotlight shifts, but those who have built their worth in silence stand firm through every season. Discipline and integrity are not glamorous, but they are the secret currency of lasting success. They build a reputation that doesn't need defending and a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. True worth grows slowly, steadily, and silently, nurtured by daily acts of character and self-respect. When your life is rooted in these principles, your worth no longer depends on perception. It radiates naturally from who you are becoming. You don't earn self-worth. You awaken it because it has always been within you, waiting to be recognized. From the moment you were born, you carried value, yet the world often teaches you to chase worth as if it's something outside yourself. You grow up believing that achievements, approval, or possessions will make you enough, and in that pursuit, you forget that you already are. True self-worth isn't something to be earned through effort or proven through success. It's something to be remembered. It's the realization that nothing you gain can make you more worthy, and nothing you lose can make you less. The problem is that many people live disconnected from this truth. They measure their worth by how much they accomplish, how many people accept them, or how few mistakes they make. But the moment you tie your worth to conditions, it becomes fragile. If someone criticizes you, your confidence crumbles. If you fail, your self-image collapses. Awakening self-worth means breaking that dependence and returning to the unshakable truth that your value is not earned. It simply is. You were created with purpose, and that purpose is what gives you worth beyond performance titles or approval. Awakening self-worth begins with awareness. It's the moment you pause and realize that the voice of unworthiness in your mind was never telling the truth. Every negative belief that says you're not enough is just noise layered over your original design. You awaken your worth when you choose to listen to the voice within that whispers, you are already whole. This awakening is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you've always been beneath fear, failure, and comparison. It's a spiritual and emotional awakening, a shift from striving to being. You awaken self-worth through acceptance. Accepting yourself doesn't mean ignoring your flaws. It means embracing your humanity. It means understanding that your mistakes don't define you. Your past doesn't disqualify you. And your imperfections don't make you less deserving of love and peace. When you stop judging yourself and start appreciating your growth, you release the burden of proving yourself. You begin to move with quiet confidence, not because you've earned approval, but because you finally believe you are enough as you are. The journey of awakening self-worth is one of inner alignment. It happens when your thoughts, words, and actions begin to reflect the truth of who you are. You start making decisions from love instead of fear, from peace instead of pressure. You stop settling for less because you recognize that you deserve more. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. This awakening brings freedom, clarity, and inner strength. It changes how you see yourself and how you allow the world to treat you. You no longer chase validation. You walk in the assurance of your inherent worth, knowing that what was once hidden within you has now been awakened. Self-worth is not something the world gives you. It is something you build, protect, and awaken within yourself. When you stop living for approval and start living with purpose, you begin to see your own power clearly. The fastest way to build confidence is not through recognition, but through discipline, integrity, and keeping promises to yourself. Each act of consistency shapes your inner foundation and reminds you that your worth was never missing. It was only waiting to be discovered. Purpose gives you direction, discipline gives you structure, and integrity gives you peace. Together, they form the unshakable core of true self-worth. You no longer depend on others to feel valuable, because your value now flows from within. You move with quiet strength, knowing your worth is not defined by success or failure, but by your courage to keep growing. You don't have to earn who you are, you only have to remember it. When that realization takes root, confidence stops being a performance and becomes your natural state. From that place of awareness, you rise, not to prove your worth to the world, but to live it fully, boldly, and without apology.